Welcome to the Fine Print, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Caleb Teskey, and today I'm joined by Rob Perlman from Massachusetts. Rob, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And yeah, if you wouldn't mind, before we get into anything serious, would you share your 5 minute life story with us?
Wow. I'm 65. I don't know if I can put it in 5 minutes.
That's okay.
But,
Take your time. I don't care. I got all afternoon.
all right. I was born in Massachusetts and raised here in a suburban town of Boston, and very uneventful until my junior high school years, where I started getting more politically active, socially active, and so on. Uh, and then I took an interest in cannabis when I saw a friend of mine, older, who was president of his class, and I caught him smoking a joint with his buddy behind, some bathhouse up at a waterfront we frequented, and uh, and that made me curious. And I'd heard about it. I mean, this is the '60s, the peace and love and hippies and all and so on, and I did try to get some research done, but there wasn't much in my library, really. So I went to a local bookstore and read up on it and found I couldn't understand why there was such a problem. It's been around for such a long time. It's just a flower, a plant that's put on this earth. And you didn't have to process it really. You just dried the flower and smoke. So that intrigued me. I pursued finding some for myself to check it out, but that wasn't so easy in a nice suburban town. So I explored into Cambridge. I went into Boston, took the T, over to Cambridge, and went to the Common, where there was plenty of action. And I met people, and one thing led to another. The next thing I know, I have purchased my first ounce for $15.
Nice.
Which, being not a rich kid, I decided I would see if I could unload a little bit of it. So I was smoking basically for free. I'd done the hard work. So that's what happened. And then one thing led to another, and everything just kept on growing. I kept pursuing an education. I was an athlete. I was in local politics. I even ran for state rep in 1976 here in Massachusetts in the 16th Norfolk district that doesn't exist anymore when they downsized the House size in Massachusetts. Move on forward, got an education, been an entrepreneur. Basically, I've had my fingers in many pots, from real estate to publishing, marketing, advertising, then became digital media and so on. And all along the path, I was involved with what we call the legacy market. And everything was fine in my life for the most part. And then one day I came home on my birthday with my now wife from a trip down the Cape for a nice lobster roll and hang out. Pleasant day. And I was swarmed by DEA, state and local police, and so on and so forth. That turned into a bit of a problem and became a federal case, of which I took a plea deal, because you really can't beat the government when
Yeah.
when they want to take you down. I mean, they wanted assets. This was, 06, 07. They wanted assets. So that's what they went after. And I just got slung along and ended up doing some time in federal prison at Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. And then I tried to come home and, get back into life. Fortunately for me, my wife married me 2 weeks before I went to prison, and I can assure you she didn't do it for my money, because it was already pretty much gone. She even sold her condo so that we could get the house out of hock with the government, and she would have a place to live. So I'm very grateful to her, gave me purpose. And there weren't many people with that story that I met. Most people lose their relationships, and I knew I had, a home to go back to.
Mm.
So, but once I was back, I'm a felon. I was having trouble finding appropriate work. Doors had closed on me. Prior had to resign from board of directors or sold off shares I owned in my own companies that I started. So it just was not a good time. Income was a struggle, and but I did the best I could, and I kept moving forward. And then finally, when uh, cannabis licenses were out there, I had examined each stage here in Massachusetts, but nothing seemed to work for me with no resources. And then when they came out with the delivery licenses in basically the start of 2021, they had revamped them. They first started, then they pulled them back saying they didn't have the business model down. It just wasn't going to work. Then they revamped them, came out, and I said, well, this delivery operator license where you can buy wholesale, warehouse it, sell online, and deliver directly. The delivery licenses in Massachusetts are exclusive to the Social Equity Program and Economic Empowerment Program run by the Cannabis Control Commission. And I qualified based on my conviction with cannabis. And so I felt that that was an opportunity, gave me an advantage because they're exclusive for a period of time. And I felt that this was a wonderful license, quite powerful, actually. You could white label, you could get great products, and it's, you don't have quite the overhead of a retail establishment, but you still had costs.
Yeah.
So I did my homework and I decided to make a run at it. And I contacted the town of Shrewsbury. They weren't ready. I gave them some information so they could have a better foundation, since obviously every town has things, many things going on. And they weren't all focused in cannabis. They had a whole town to run, the town manager. But I passed muster and I quickly moved through that process, and I already located a location and a landlord that was willing to work with me some. And away I went, and then I pursued everything, and that was falling into place until it's time to find the real money.
Is this part of the host community agreement process?
I did get the host community agreement. Yes, I had to follow a process with the town manager. Then I had to meet with all the department heads in the town. Everybody gave me a thumbs up. Then we got a presentation with the select board. Select board gave us a thumbs up to negotiate. We negotiated. We got a HCA worked out, signed it, and away I went. But finding the money, the capital, even for somebody that's experienced in business and not a novice, not a youngster, I was having trouble. Unfortunately, I don't have much of a family left, and resources are tight, and this just wasn't going to be something I could fund personally. But I felt with my background and the opportunity that I would be able to find capital. But that has not been the case. And part of the problem has been that there's a regulation which made these licenses exclusive to social equity. Only there's also a regulation that you must maintain majority ownership and control, at least through the exclusivity period. Okay. Now, money people don't like not being in control.
Yeah, right.
And there's many deals out there. And bottom line was, there wasn't me, wasn't the opportunity, wasn't anything about this situation really. It was more or less they had many options with possibly better return, with things that could be proprietary, where just being a delivery service, there's nothing proprietary yet. I felt I needed to build a foundation before I could start trying to build my own brand of product. I was going to rely on quality products with craft growers, things that I appreciate, since in my mind in this industry, there's either cash crop or craft crop. I'm a craft crop person, but I know that some people might want the other products because of their value, let's call it. Not necessarily quality, but value. And you have to have product for everybody when you're trying to, serve a community. And so that's where things are at. And then I got derailed about 6 months back with some serious neck surgery. I don't know if you can see right behind right over there.
Oh yeah.
There's 8 screws and a couple rods in my neck.
Nice.
I'm still, working on flexibility and so on, but I'm doing pretty well. And I'm glad it got done because it needed to be. And so now I'm back at it, and I keep feeling like the clock is going to run out on my situation because the HCA gave me basically 2 years to get operational.
Oh.
Well, 1 year's down. And so I needed to get my story out there, something I didn't really want to explode everywhere. But now that I have, I'm going to do it even bigger.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to see if I can get what I'll call the global cannabis community to help fund me. It's a plan I just came up with a videographer and a online marketing specialist and so on. And we are talking about what we can do to, in a sense, crowd fund and get, try to get what it takes to get operational. And we'll see how that works.
What happens after the host community agreement runs out? Do you have to go back and get another one?
I'm afraid if my time period expires, I don't believe the town would extend. Maybe they'll be looking for somebody that has the funding already, or situation like that, all they want is the revenue. They want the revenue. And I understand that, and I'm trying my best, but I can't pull a rabbit out of a hat when I don't have the hat. And but if I'm close to being operational, I believe they'll give me some kind of extension. I haven't asked yet, but I'm pretty sure. But if I'm still treading water, I don't see where they would want to continue. They'd try to find other parties. They're just in this for the business. And I understand that. So I didn't want the opportunity to go, pass me by. I really like the opportunity to help others. I'm certainly open to cannabis felons. In fact, they're some of my favorite people.
Can you tell us a little bit about? It sounds like you did a lot of advocacy, like back in the day.
Well, in the 70s, I helped support the start of Normal, which is the original organization, I believe in Massachusetts, turned into MassCan. They had the freedom rallies and so on. I financially supported back then. I politically supported in certain ways, but I'd never put myself out there publicly, because when you're in the business, having a double life, being in politics, being in business, and being in cannabis wouldn't always be a nice fit for everybody. They had preconceived notions. You're an evil person if you, smoke. And I never felt that way. I still feel as though, I'll admit that I broke a law. I did it willingly, but you won't have me tell you I did anything wrong, because I don't feel that way in my heart and mind. So I tried to be an advocate as best I could behind the scenes. As I also got together with a couple friends, and one was a holistic medicine person in Cambridge. Another was a social worker, and I started donating pounds of cannabis to be utilized for people that were ill, cancer patients or anybody else that would derive some benefit. I let those people decide, who to distribute to, and I just help try to bring some product into that. We called it helping others, just a code of HO, and we never looked for publicity again, because when you're in the business, you don't want publicity.
Yeah, right.
No, I don't need it. Didn't want it. Wasn't seeking it. Was just trying to do something that I felt was the right thing to do, and I could do it. So, that was the basis. I've always tried to add value. I always want to try to help people out. I've done that online in my business world as well.
Ooh, pardon me.
Bless you.
Uh,
I on my business card, I list myself as the managing partner of Many Rivers. And I also list myself as a resolutionary. And a resolutionary is a person that has both the purpose and attitude leading to fair and positive outcomes. And that's who I am. I like win-win situations. I want a business deal to be good for both sides. I look at things in that fashion. I've even constructed a guide to creating agreements that allow you to, renegotiate, not get into a legal fight. You either renegotiate or dissolve if you don't hit the target that the two of you decided that's what you're aiming at, which happens. Most
sure.
people don't hit bullseyes. You're lucky when you hit your target. And if you don't hit the target, sometimes it's good for one person and not good for the other. And I like to see more fairness, more kindness, more consideration in the business world. To me, cutthroat, you can only skin a cat once. I like repeat business. That's what it was all about. Relationships. To me, life is the riches of life are relationships. And that's how I approach things. And now I just want to try to help my family and help some others with some employment and maybe leave a legacy with what I hope to be the best delivery operator that's come down the road.
Could I ask you about Lester Grinspoon?
Sure.
I'm curious. You mentioned him in your letter there, and I've been speaking with his son a little bit on the internet, and they seem like a super interesting family.
Oh, I would say so. Lester is someone I met in, I want to say 80-ish, basically 79, maybe. He was a professor, a doctor, and at the Harvard Medical School. And initially, he wasn't a cannabis advocate, but he was turned. I believe it was Carl Sagan who turned him on.
Wow.
And he decided to pursue it in a more, we'll call it scientific fashion, do some research, understand things. And he became quite an advocate. And I have the opportunity to have dinner with him on a number of occasions, sometimes small groups and sometimes slightly, maybe as many as 8 people. And we would discuss things about hemp, about cannabis, and and so on, the world space and the U.S. market and Massachusetts as well. And he was always very, very informative and helpful. His son, Peter, I don't really know personally. He's a little younger than I am, but he's a doctor who's carried on his father's work and pushed to new levels. And they are a wonderful family.
Yeah, I've been trying to find me a medical professional who would be willing to speak on the subject, and they seem few and far between here.
I can hook you up with somebody else who's
Okay,
quite widely known.
That'd be awesome.
It's Dr. Uma.
Dr. Uma.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe after this you can put us in touch.
Dr. Uma Dalabanian. I'll be happy to connect you, and you can take it from there. But she goes all around speaking about, the endocannabinoid system and so on. She's gotten awards or acknowledgement for her good work. And I was planning to have her be part of my educational team because education is the backbone. People need to understand the value. A plant and interaction with individuals is different for everybody. Every plant is slightly different, every person slightly different, but you need to try to understand the broad context of what the plant can do and what it doesn't do. And, I started, it was recreational. Then it became a business. Now it's more medicinal, to me. I just find it useful for sleeping, for relaxing, so on, because I'm not really impressed with a lot of the cannabis I find that comes through dispensaries.
Oh, me either, man. Especially, I interviewed some people at a dispensary that just got fired down there in Westfield, Mass, and they showed me some pictures. It's a $15 million facility in a medical a medical grow, and it was atrocious. The pictures I saw were like concerning. Like someone's gonna get sick from smoking that.
Yeah, and that's what you don't want. But again, there's a mindset between cash crop and craft crop.
Sure, there you go. Yeah, true.
And I've helped some friends over the years, get their own little, small grow for their personal needs, and everybody would try something different and trade. And way back in the day, I also would check out different people's products, let's call them, and because if I gave them a big thumbs up, they could charge more. I happen to have been a judge with the High Times Cannabis Cup in Amsterdam
Oh yeah.
back in the early 90s. It was a lot of fun until High Times turned it into a commercial venture, but that was going to be inevitable.
Yeah.
They became a hemp fest and a whole, clothing and everything started spinning out of it. But it got too commercial for me.
How did you get hooked up as a judge? How did you get in on that gig?
Well, it came through a friend who got hooked up as a judge before me. And when they're talking with, I believe, Stephen Hagar, the publisher, and whoever else was involved in that, they asked about recommendations for, people that would be qualified in their opinion. And, my friend quickly brought me up. And I believe I was the MVP of judges. And I sampled everything that was entered. It was quite a feat. But, I ride my bicycle in Amsterdam from one coffee house to another in order to get some fresh air and rejuvenate. So I'd zigzag across the city instead of going like close by little hops. I'd zigzag so I get some fresh air and be able to, check it out more appropriately. Freshen up. That was my plan. And so I had a criteria, and I put it on a graph paper, and I started, it's, what you do when you have an interest, you just try to extend it into some more data. Data is key.
Now, one thing. Oh, go ahead.
I even got invited to do the Dutch Cup, only their cup is a month-long event. Ooh. And I couldn't take that kind of time off for that purpose back then in my, professional life. But I would have wanted to.
Well, that's a long cup.
Yeah, well, they had a lot of different hash products as well as, flour.
So
I was honored with the invite.
Cool. One of the things I wanted to ask was, like, when they first tried to roll out this delivery model in Massachusetts, it sounds like they were talking about some kind of Uber style model, where like the Amazon delivery would just immediately take over, and that's sort of why they came up with this social equity, like, exclusivity period. Is that accurate?
No, I don't think so. I think they had in their mind two levels of delivery. One was going to be kind of, we'll call it wholesale. You buy wholesale, you take possession, and the other was just a courier license, which you only receive a delivery fee and you needed to work with a retailer or, a licensed establishment and deliver on behalf of them, because these delivery licenses were exclusive, again, to social equity and economic empowerment. And that was by plan, only the way they set it up, it wasn't going to be a viable business. And I still think it's, even with the changes they made, I don't think a courier is such a viable business. It's difficult on just a delivery fee. Getting the margin of wholesale to retail as a delivery operator and being able to add into that revenue streams, that is more palatable, even though that has problems because of the requirement that's currently in place with two drivers, two people in each vehicle.
Oh, weird.
So you had to keep someone in a vehicle while the other went and made the delivery. And that's very costly. I believe there are, I want to say, 9 states that allow delivery and only 2 that require 2-person delivery. And the other states can't demonstrate that there's a safety problem. But when something is new, you understand when they want to err on the side of safety or caution. Only I think we have enough data to understand that is not as big a problem as they perceive it to be. I think the bigger problem is the industry in general that is being, kneecapped to have to play in cash.
Yeah, that's a big issue for sure. The payment
Yeah,
processing, yeah.
it's a real headache, and again, it's part of our broken political system. Which isn't going to fix itself well, because the people that are entrusted with fixing it are exactly what's broken in the equation. And there's too much power, there's too much money, and so on and so forth, that it's difficult to get changes. And then even when it's smart to get a change, you don't get it because of the politics of one party not wanting something good to happen on the other party's watch. It's sad, because they really should be doing what's best for the people of this country and this nation, and not playing all these games. But again, our political system got broken. I've actually been, saying this for probably close to 40 years. I mean, as I said, I ran in political office, and that was eye-opening. And the eye-opening part is when you actually find out that laws are bought and paid for.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, believing in the theory of the rule of law, as I did, my father was an attorney, I was a paralegal to help put myself through school. I believe in laws and rules and some structure. I believe in society trying to be there to help one another and so on. But it just isn't working. It's not working. And I don't see it changing, which is sad.
Well, that was depressing, Rob. Jeez.
But I think we still have to try.
Yeah, I agree.
That's why I'm in the game. I still feel this is my best opportunity, given the baggage I carry and my personal situation. I just need to find the right, call it, funding partner.
Sure.
And as I said, I'm looking at multiple strategies. I've been doing it every day, trying to, beat the drum and see what I can, get going. But
And you said you already have a location picked out. You got what do you need here to get going? Just money?
just money. You have to do everything soup to nuts to be inspected before they'll vote on your operational license.
Right.
I'm right now, they're reviewing my provisional license, which should have been in months ago, but because of the surgery, I delayed. And then I even had to run another host community outreach meeting. I find out after the fact they're only good for 6 months. Well, I kind of got caught up with the surgery and rehab, And so I ran another one. Nobody showed up. The first time, only a couple people showed up, and this time nobody showed up.
That's good community outreach.
Well, I get the notice out there. It's everywhere. I post the information. It's available. I make myself accessible, but nobody has a problem with what I'm doing because
Good.
you have to send notice out to all the abutters. And I did so multiple times. And my landlord is an abutter. He lives nearby. He has other property, so he get all this. And he's living in the town. He knew how slow things could be, and so I'm glad he's a stand-up guy and helped me, work through this. But he's in business too, so now I'm paying rent. So now that's costing me.
Oh, you're already paying rent and you're still waiting. Yeah, boy.
Yeah. Well, I thought we'd be done with this process and moving on to the build out. But if you don't have money for the build out, if you, the special permit, the build out, vehicles, security equipment for the warehouse and for the vehicles, these are just the basics. Who's going to do this stuff for free? Nobody.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to engage and pay professionals to get the job done, right? And that's what I'm lacking. And I think that it's a pipe dream. Well, you can do this in other industries where you can bootstrap yourself and try to get going slowly. And you can't do that in the cannabis space because of the regulatory issues and the inspections.
It does seem hard.
It is. I am aware of somebody pursuing the same license that's been doing it for 3 years. He's getting close now. I basically started June 1 of 21. And if I hadn't gotten derailed, I was where I'm at right now, basically 6-7 months ago. And now I feel like the clock's ticking. So I got to play the game a little differently and start spreading the word and getting my story out there to see if there's somebody that wants to support this, work with me, so on. I'm very open-minded. I'll discuss anything that's within the law and the regulations.
Okay. And it's Many Rivers. That's the name of your company?
Many Rivers LLC, manyriversdelivery.com.
Okay. Let's see what we can do for you, Rob. I'm going to blast this up eventually. I'm a little backed up on interviews because it's been a long, crazy week, and I just haven't had time to post them all. But is there anything else you want to throw? I'm out of stuff here. I want to thank you for being here, but if there's anything else you want to throw in that we missed, I want to let you get that in here.
Well, I think that part of my background, as I mentioned, worked in the world of dispute resolution, conflict resolution. It's really about communication. People need communication skills. Most things in life are relationships of one sort or another. And by its nature, a relationship is either in agreement or in some level of less than total agreement. And we're never taught how to resolve conflict. It just seems like people run away because they're afraid to say the difficult things or to bring stuff up. I'm not sure. They just get more legal and so on. And I believe the cannabis community, from what I experienced in my young days and who was in this space, even now, I want to consider the cannabis community, based on love, kindness, and caring. And so I am trying to look at my old material and see if I might be able to weave a way to present some guidance that might help others simplify and be better people and be better at business. And that's what I'm going to add to my story, I think. Can't hurt, differentiates me and who I am. I've had a very blessed life. I've been pretty fortunate in many ways. I got involved in rock and roll with a young band that just exploded and, signed a record deal and toured and got a Grammy nomination and all that stuff. It was wonderful. They call the John Butcher Axis. They still exist and they play out, for half a dozen times or more in a year because the bass player's a doctor down in the Philadelphia area. So just doesn't have all the time. And
Yeah.
John is active in all kinds of ways and working with others and producing and getting together with other artists and trying to put some new material together. So it's I love music. I want to combine everything because it's all one community of people and a mindset. And I wouldn't mind having my legacy being that I helped bring people together and I helped bring people quality cannabis products.
That is a good legacy.
Well, I'm not looking to change the world, but I'm looking to add some value.
All right, Rob. If that's all you got, I'm gonna air this out. We'll see if we can find you some help here, man. Thank you so much for joining me, and let's stay in touch here. We could check in maybe down the road and see what kind of progress you've made.
Well, absolutely. As I mentioned to you on the phone, I'll try to hook you up with a couple other call it media outlets and see if you might be able to benefit one another.
Sure,
Okay.
that'd be great.
All right.
Rob, thanks a lot. Have a wonderful holiday, man. Thanks for your time today.
You too. Be well.
All right.
Happy and healthy New Year. Thank you.
Peace.